Hi, welcome to Hari's BI. This video is about how to adapt data mesh in Microsoft Fabric. Let's get started. If you are new to my channel, please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get the latest updates. Let's start with what is data mesh. Data mesh is nothing but a decentralized data architecture which will help us to organize the data into different domains. Domains like human resources, sales, marketing and etc. Nowadays organizations are handling huge amount of data and it is very important for them to organize and manage the data in a logical way that will be easy for business users who want to create their own self-service with the right governance in place. Data mesh will help them to create a domain-centric architecture. With that they can organize their content by domains. So this will be easy for them to start use their platform as a self-service, because people can go to a domain specific data models and they can start to leverage and create their own self-service. So with that their time to market will be so quick, and that's why most of the organizations have started shifting to data mesh. As part of public preview, Microsoft Fabric has introduced a concept or a feature called domains. Using domains we can achieve this data mesh architecture. Okay, let's talk about domains in Microsoft Fabric. Domains are nothing but a logical way of grouping the artifacts inside Microsoft Fabric. So with that domains, you can assign your different workspaces into that domain. Let's say you have created multiple workspaces to handle sales related information. If that is the case, you can create a domain called sales. Under that sales domain, you can map all your workspaces which are handling the sales related data. So with that you will have a logical grouping called the sales. Within that you will have a multiple workspaces. Each workspace will have a sales related data. As we are following the data mesh architecture, it is important to follow the principles of data mesh architecture. Let's talk about the principles. The first principle is domain centric architecture. As we discussed, we are going to create a domain centric architecture where there will be a different domains created. Each domains will have different set of workspaces. Within workspaces we can do all sort of data transformations, data operations, and then data as a product is a next principle. So with that the domain owners who is going to manage those domains, they are going to consider their domain data will be a product for them, and that product can be utilized by the same team or across different teams within that organization. The next principle is self-service access. So when the domain specific data models or semantic models are created, it will be easy for any person who want to create a self-service. The domain specific artifacts can be exposed for a user who can go and consume that data models, data sets and create their own report. So this will enable the availability of the data models for the self-service users, and they can start create their own reports. And then the last principle is data governance. In terms of security, as of now the securities are available at tenant level. Microsoft Fabric administrator can handle all the security and governance. Moving forward, this tenant level security will be shifted to the domain level securities. So with that we'll have a right governance in place, and we can easily control who can see what level of information on each domain. These are some of the principles that we have as part of data mesh architecture, and all of these principles can be easily followed inside the Microsoft Fabric. Okay, let's get started to see how to create a domains in Microsoft Fabric. Before we talk about how to create a domains, let me show you how you can fit in the domains within that entire Microsoft Fabric architecture. So as I said, domains are nothing but a logical grouping. So Fabric administrator can create a domain at tenant level. Once the domains are created, the administrator can add domain administrator. Domain administrators are responsible for managing that specific domains. They can go and update the domains, and they can add contributors to the domains. The contributors are nothing but the workspace administrators who are managing each individual workspace in Microsoft Fabric. So one domains can be a collection of different workspaces. Each workspace can have a different type of artifacts. If one of the workspace is assigned to one of the domain, the same workspace cannot be assigned to a different domain, which means it is kind of a one-to-one. One workspace can be assigned to one domain. In case if you want to use the same workspace for the another domain, then you have to unassign that workspace from the previous domain and then assign it to a new domain. So this is a logical grouping that you can easily understand, and then these are the roles that we have at the moment. Let's get started to see how to create a domains in Microsoft Fabric. To create a Microsoft Fabric domains, you just need to go to admin portal, go to settings, admin portal, and you will see an option called domains. As of now, this is in a preview state. Just go here, and this is the place where you are going to create a domains. Create a domain, and you can name a domain. Let's say I'm just naming this as sales, and we can define the description and click apply. So once this is done, domain is created, and you can add domain administrators. So this is a place where you are going to specify the people who are going to manage these domains, and they are responsible for adding contributors and etc. Okay, let's add one of the user as a domain administrator and click apply. That's all. Okay, now the Microsoft Fabric administrator has created a domain called sales and added this user as a domain administrator. That's all. Microsoft Fabric administrator role is completed, and in future if there are any more new domains to be created, then Microsoft administrator can go and create a new domains and assign the respective person as a domain administrator. So if you see here, this sales is assigned, created and assigned to this user. Let's log in with this user and see what are the informations that the domain administrator can see. Okay, this is a user where we have assigned domain administrator, and this user again go to admin portal. This user is not part of Microsoft Fabric admin role, so this user can just see only the domains. Right? This user can go and see the domains, but this user cannot create a domain. As I said, only Microsoft Fabric admins can create a domain. Choose the specific domain, go to name and description. You can easily define the description. The name is something that we cannot modify. It is something only Microsoft administrator can modify. But anything other than the below sections can be updated by the domain administrator, again except admins. So we can add a description, sales, apply. We can define an image. We can choose any image from this list. So let's select this and then click apply. And then domain administrator, this is something Microsoft administrator added the person as a domain administrator, so we are not going to do anything here. And then this domain administrator can add contributors, domain contributors. These domain contributors are nothing but your workspace administrators who are managing each individual workspaces. So I'll go with these specific users or security groups. So let's add John as domain contributors and click apply. Now John is going to contribute something on this domain, and then if you see here in the bottom, workspaces in this domain. So this is a place like the domain administrator can decide what are the workspaces or falls into this sales domain. Right? You may have multiple workspaces in place, and you need to choose those workspaces, and you are going to group them as a sales domain. So you have different options here, assign by workspace name, workspace admin, and then assign by capacity. So let's choose assign by workspace name, and here we are going to search for anything with sales. Okay, here we have something. So these are all the workspaces where we are using to handle anything related to sales domain, sales related data. So we can choose all of them and click apply. Right? So we just selected only this because this is what it listed out when we search for sales, because these are the workspaces where this person has access. Let's say if there are many workspaces which are handling the sales related data, if this domain administrator don't have access to all the workspaces, then all the workspaces will not be listed out. So basically the domain administrator should be part of that workspace so that it will be listed out, and the same can be assigned under this domain. In case if you want to add new workspaces into the same domain, you can go and click assign workspaces and then choose any of these options and select the workspaces, and that workspace will be grouped under the sales domain. In case if you want to unassign any of the workspace, you can just select this and you will see an option called unassign. So with that you can move this workspace out of this domain, and the same workspace can be assigned to another domain. And now the domain administrator role is completed. Let's see from a domain contributor perspective. So now we have logged in as John, who is a domain contributor, and if we go to the admin portal, the domain contributors will not have access to the domains. So basically Fabric administrator and domain administrator will have access to the domains, not the contributors. Contributors are nothing but the workspace administrators or the people who are managing the individual workspaces. Okay, now if we go to this One Lake Data Hub, you will see an option called all domains and you will see an option called the sales domain. So now we are accessing this as John user, right? So if John selected this sales domain, then it will list out all the artifacts which are comes under this sales domain, and again within that it will show only the artifacts where he has access, right? If you see the workspaces, so he has access to only one of the workspace which has the corp sales models, but we have assigned 3 to 4 workspaces, so he is not part of those workspaces. So that's the reason it is just listing out only the artifacts which are available only on this workspace, but he has access to all the workspaces, then all the workspace artifacts will be listed out here. And with that he can go and create his own self-service reports based on the data sets, and if there are any data pipelines, lakehouse or data warehouse in place, if he has the contributor access, then he can go and update or he can go and play around with the pipelines and anything related to the data platform within Microsoft Fabric. He choose all domains, it will list out all the artifacts which are available across all the different workspaces where he has access. Okay, let's talk about another scenario. So again, logged in with the admin user. So if you see, the admin user does not have access to all the workspaces just for this scenario, right? Or you can take any user where that user is not part of any of the workspace, the sales workspace. So if that is the case, the domain will not be listed out. To see the domain, that person should be part of one of the workspace which is there under domain. Okay, let me go with the user who has access to almost all the workspaces that we have added. Let me search for sales. So these are the workspaces that we have added under the sales domain. So which means this user has access to all of these workspaces. Now if we go here under One Lake Data Hub, that user can see this option all domains and can choose the specific domain sales. Once this is selected, it will list out all the artifacts which are comes under this sales domain, and if you see the Explorer, these are the different workspaces which are added under sales domain. So he can go and choose any specific workspace and choose any specific artifact and start create self-service reports or start update the existing pipelines. Let's talk about the next scenario. Now let's try to create a new domain. This is called IT. So let's click apply. So now we have created another domain called IT. Under that we have added this user as a domain administrator. Now let's log in with that user. So let's say this user is again going to the admin portal, domains, and then just refresh this, and the domain will be listed out here. You can go here and then go to the workspace in this domain and assign the workspace. So just for example, I'm just trying to choose specific workspace, right? Let's say sales. Again, I'm selecting one of the sales workspace. If you see the icon, so this is representing that these workspaces are already part of the another domain or sales domain. On a mouse over, this is saying that this workspace is part of the sales domain. Right? You can still select it. When you try to select, this is saying that this will detach corp sales models from the currently assigned domain. People who use this domain may find it harder to discover content from the workspace, which means that this domain will be unassigned from the previous sales domain, and the same will be assigned to this new domain. Right? If I add here and click apply, you can see this workspace is now part of this IT domain. Right? If we go back and check the previous sales domain, you will not see that workspace. That corp model is not listed out here. Right? And even if you go to the domains, let's say if I go to the corp sales domain, you will see an icon here itself. So this will say this workspace is part of the sales domain. So now we have created different domains. So basically we have logically grouped these workspaces into different domains. The people who has access to the workspaces can go and do their day-to-day activity. There is no change on that. But let's say people from other domain, the people who are accessing the IT specific workspaces, who want to access some of the sales specific data models or data sets, then there are two options. One is that person should be again part of that sales related workspaces, else that person should have a build permission to the sales data sets which are available on sales workspaces. So with these two approaches, the person can easily handle the sales related data sets, and then they can start create a composite model where they can leverage some of the IT specific data sets plus sales specific data sets in one single data set. I hope you like this video. Please click the subscribe button and bell icon to get the latest updates.